I'm a dentist, part-time now. I used to have my own practice, but I don't anymore. It's been about 3 years. Yeah. And I miss it some days, but not that much actually. I guess it all started that one day I came into the office. I picked up my instruments, but I recall staring at them. And just how the lack of energy and interest registered for the first time. It's kind of like a sinking feeling. 14 years in a career is long enough, I guess. I was just looking to the next 30 years thinking I'd still be there. Not that I could complain. I made good money, I had a very successful practice, a beautiful house, a good wife. Everything you could ask for, I guess. Then this one Friday, this young woman comes into the office with a very painful abscess, looking to get treatment. Well, it's about 5 o'clock and I'm just on my way out, but my receptionist takes her, brings her into the office and puts her right in the chair. So I guess I spent about an hour working on her, and I told her I'd have to see her again the next week just to check on her progress. And so I made an appointment, gave her a prescription for the pain, and she gave me this stunning smile, and she kissed me on the cheek, just to show her appreciation for me staying late and helping her, which I totally understand. An abscess can be extremely painful. Anyway, I really didn't expect to see her again. She kind of struck me as a transient type, not likely to hold a job, a little edgy, and had a haunting look to her. And I remember I asked her a few questions, but she wasn't really all that forthcoming about her life or what she did. Vague. Very vague, that's how I describe it. But she did come back, right on time. And she started to heal quite nicely, so I told her, there was no need for her to see me again. And she got up, shook my hand, thanked me again. And before she left, she asked me if she could take me out to dinner the next evening. Oh God, she was truly gorgeous. Immaculate. I still remember the striking change from the first time she was in my office. Anyway, I had no idea how to, answer her invitation. This was the first time a single woman had asked me out since I was married. I was flattered, but anyway, before I could say anything, she told me she knew I was married, but wanted me to come anyway, just out of gratitude. And I said to her, look, I was just doing my job. Medical emergencies happen all the time, but no, she wouldn't go before writing down the name and address of the restaurant and handing it to me. And she said, I'll be there at 7 o'clock if you want to join me. So I thanked her, She paid and left, and I thought that was the end of it. Of course it wasn't, because I couldn't get her out of my mind that whole next day. So I met her, and we sat and talked, for like 3 hours over dinner. Well, I should say I talked for about 90% of it. She just sat there and listened, And every time I tried to ask her a question, she'd throw me a few tidbits and then deflect it back onto me. But it was like sitting with a psychologist, because everything just started to come out. Stuff I hadn't thought of in years, that I never told anyone. And I realized I was allowing this woman who was 12 years younger than me to pry open my life and thoughts. Not in a threatening or invasive manner. I was doing it. But now, when it was time to go, I was the one that asked to see her again. And even after that first night, I still couldn't figure out what she did for a living. At one point, I think she said she was a representative for some clothing company or something, but not exactly a sales rep. I didn't quite understand that. Anyway, I saw her twice over the next 2 weeks. Just dinner and talking, but I fell in love with her. Really fell in love with her. That second time we sat opposite each other, I felt completely exhilarated, an intense joy. I'd never felt anything like that before in my life. She was all I could think about, day and night. And no matter how stupid I felt, no matter how much I admonished myself, how guilty I felt, I couldn't get her face out of my brain. I remember yelling at myself in the car, screaming at the top of my lungs. You're married, you've got a daughter. Like, wake up, you idiot, give your head a shake. No, it just didn't matter how much I tried to repress my desire, my infatuation. I guess the need to be with her was just, it could not be extinguished. Captured, imprisoned, out of control. Obsessed. I was obsessed. I knew it, and I knew exactly where it was going to lead me. Now, in contrast, she was always so calm, self-possessed, serene, as if, she wanted for nothing, was perturbed by nothing. Just happy to be with me and to see me happy. I took her on a conference about a week later, paid for everything, and bought her stuff. Oh, it didn't matter. I enjoyed doing it. I felt like that weekend I was set free, and I just wanted it to last, When we got back, she asked me if she could borrow $500. And of course, I said. I told her not to worry about it, A couple months later, she decided that she had to go to Seattle for a while. I tried to get her to stay. I even offered her a job with a friend of mine that owns a manufacturing company, but she wasn't interested. I was so depressed. So we went away for the weekend. You don't understand. I was so in love with that woman. I was so upset that weekend I could not get her to stay. So we agreed that I'd, fly out once a month just to see her until she figured out what she wanted to do. And somehow we, got around to money, and I offered her $5,000 because, I thought she'd be a little short. And at the time, I didn't even really think about whether I'd get it back or not. But after 3 weeks of not seeing her and not being with her, I was a wreck. And I was so anxious. My wife suspected something was wrong. So I finally came clean. I told her everything. And I also told her that I needed to go to Seattle for a couple of weeks just to sort things out. She was angry. Well, no, more than that, furious. But she said that it would be best if I went so that she could figure out what she wanted to do as well. Honestly, I felt bad for her, but there was really no point in trying to stop me from going. So I closed the office for, 3 weeks and headed off to Seattle. Stayed in a hotel because she was still settling in, and I gave her $4,000 because clearly she needed stuff. But after a couple of days, I did it. I finally told her how much I loved her, how much I needed to be with her, that I wanted us to live together, And she just smiled at me, in that calm, alluring way of hers, and casually said it wouldn't be possible. It would never be possible. Well, I had the urge to question her, of course, but I didn't. Either because maybe somehow I knew that was coming, or I don't know. Maybe I just didn't want to, ruin things with an argument. Who knows? I just didn't say anything. I just sat there and accepted it. And then it hits me. It's all me. It was all my picture, you know? All my fantasy. All my desire. When I got back, all the locks were changed in the house. There was a letter from my wife's lawyer waiting for me at the office. What could I do? I sold the practice, settled with my wife, and now I live in a small apartment. I fill in for other dentists occasionally, like when they're on vacation, and I choose when I want to work. And actually, there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to do with my life that I'm involved in now, and I do get to see my daughter an awful lot, and we have good times together. So I think I'm actually happier now, even though I'm not with anybody, And as for my beautiful dental patient, I saw her every couple of months, for the weekend in New York, New Orleans, San Francisco. And I was always willing to help her out, if she needed help. I mean, what's a few $1,000s here and there, to help someone out who's actually made you take a look at yourself? But we haven't seen each other in over a year. She stopped asking for money and I stopped offering. Everything just stopped. But I still think about her. Am I still in love with her? I'm not sure. Do I have any regrets? No, I don't. Because I know I paid a big price, but if I had to do it all over again, I would. Because it changed me.